we're about to shoot a shot.
We haven't done this in a long time. Welcome to another episode of Gripping Golf Podcast. Actually, this is a product review. We're doing a product review today, right? It is, first and foremost, it's great to see all of us in the same room.
Yeah, who are you people?
Yeah. I've never seen you guys in my life before.
Our sabbatical took too long.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. But we're back. We're back, and we're doing a product review. Dave, what do we have to review today?
Today, we have the WellPutt Classic 13-foot putting mat.
It is classic.
It is classic.
It's classic in its design. It's a classic in its approach. It's just classic.
Yes. So let me tell you what the manufacturer says about their product.
Okay.
The classic WellPutt mat is loaded with patented designs intended to develop muscle memory of the correct aim and the right touch for any given putt. Training your putting, honing your technique, and dialing in your distance on a mat renowned as the leading scientifically accurate reproduction of a real-life green makes good sense and is like money in the bank! Exclamation point.
All right.
Money in the bank. That was a lot.
It was a lot.
We might have to revisit that.
Yeah, so let's just kind of go over some of the features of this mat really quickly. First and foremost, it is endorsed by Cameron McCormick. Does anybody know who that is?
He's a coach.
He's a coach.
Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth. Yeah. So
big brain on Billy.
If anybody has ever watched Jordan Spieth putt, you know he's pretty decent at it.
He's a good putter.
Yeah, he's a good putter. So this mat, you can use it in two directions. Yep. One direction rolls at a 10 on the stimp. The other direction an 11.5. So this has multiple visual aids to help with your alignment of both your putter and your body. Some of the mats, not the classic version, but some of the mats also have a design on them that kind of mimics the arc that your putter should take.
Yeah.
And we can discuss that later, right?
We didn't have that one.
John's is less of an arc and more of an infinity symbol.
Yes, it's just a...
John's putting would get worse before it got better with that version.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it worse?
Yeah. Yes. No.
I just bring a
You finished second in the game, right?
It's true. Make it work.
Yeah.
Swing your swing, right?
Exactly. It doesn't have to be pretty.
They don't need no stinking arc.
There's a whole roster of golfers from the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They got it
crazy,
done. Get the
right?
ball in the hole.
Yeah.
Just ram it in there.
Exactly. So we talked about the multiple visual aids. It mentioned something about stroke amplitude. I don't know what that is, but I just thought it was an interesting term to bring up.
Interesting. Yeah. Stroke amplitude. It's amping your stroke?
I guess. I'm not for sure. We'll have to ask them.
The ampage.
Right.
Pete's going to look it up. All right. We're going to get Pete. Thank you. Can you look that up? Yeah.
Yes. He's going to be our new statistician and Google definition guy.
Right.
So the two different directions. One is worked for accuracy. Right. So you're aiming at a target, and it has what's called a good zone and a bad zone. So it's going to encourage you to not leave putts short. It's going to try to encourage you to actually hit your putts a little bit past the hole, which is something I beg Pete to do whenever we're playing as league partners. The other direction is distance control. And when you look at this mat, it kind of looks like a shuffleboard situation with numbers and zones for you to put your ball into. So that's kind of the rundown of the mat. I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Okay. To me, we messed around with the mat. I've had it for quite some time, probably 6 months, I think, in my house, and been using it since we did the remodel and having some nice wood floors to actually space it out on. It's my favorite. Do we want to pause and understand what stroke amplitude is?
I've read it 3 times and I got nothing.
Well, maybe the 4th time will be the charm. Could you read it
Can we bring in Neil deGrasse Tyson to explain it to us?
He's our next guest.
Okay. Wow.
The stroke plane angle B is the angle between a line connecting the wingtip and the upper and lowermost position in the side view relative to the horizontal. The angular amplitude, H, is defined as the angle between the upper and lowermost position of a wingtip measured within the stroke plane.
Okay. Yeah, it made perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I feel like
Now
that
that
didn't
we
have
know
anything
that.
to do
Yeah.
with golf. But
We'll bring that up on the screen.
the angle of the dangle is all I
Yeah,
heard.
exactly. Wingtip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't help.
That
Let's
didn't
go
help
to
us.
review.
You know, we'll figure it out, and we'll be able to talk more about it later. But for me, I've had it for a while. I like the mat. I like the fact that it doesn't have any holes. I like that it doesn't have a return to it. I like the different components of the different games. I like the ability that has the good zone, the bad zone, and understanding like rolling it. Kind of has a visualization of here's where the hole is, but here's where you should be hitting it truly
Right.
to, is that hole behind it in the good zone. And so for me, I think it's the best one we've tested of the boomerang, perfect practice putting mat, and stroke or putt out. Putt out.
So explain the games since you brought those up.
Okay, so the games, I'll try to do it at a very high level. So you can play the courses. So there's games and there's courses. And the courses are, there's 18 holes, and you have a front 9 and a back 9, and you're going both directions on the mat. So you might start from 3 feet, and you might start from 6 feet. And we went and played 3 holes collectively as a team, and you get points based on that. Yep. So in the game is you putt the same ball, 3 same balls. They have to be the same, is what the game says, right, John?
Yeah, I did say that.
Exactly the same. You put it 3 times, and if you make the shots, you're getting points for those shots. And then at the end of it, you add up your points, and obviously the more points you have, the better you do. There's also games in the back that you can play with like 1 to 8 people, and that's like the putting range where you're just like kind of like going to the driving range. And then the other one is the good zone, where you're trying to stop the ball into the good zone each time. The good zone being the area after the hole, so that the ball was carrying enough speed to get into the hole, but not too much speed. Yeah. So those are the games within it. But there's 3 different courses. It's orange, blue, and black. And those are all, so it's technically, what is that? How many holes? 54 holes? Yep. 54 holes can be essentially played on this. And there's different components of within that game. You might be lag putting from, there's dots all over the mat. And I'm trying to describe it from the back side. So past the good zone, there's 3 dots. You might actually hit from there clear down to a speed zone that you got to stop the ball in on the courses. And so it's just a lot of different varieties to keep yourself entertained and play different games. So I didn't do a ton of those, but I used the different lengths. Like I would start at 3, then I'd go to 6, then I'd go to 8, and then I'd go to 12, and I'd do those putts the whole way. And I would just keep doing that over and over, just getting a feel for the greens or the speed. But then I'd also just make sure that I was putting straight. Yeah. Like what I found the most helpful for me over having it for 6 months was it really helped me understand that a lot of my missed putts were coming because I wasn't even starting the ball remotely close to the line.
Wasn't reading it. You just couldn't even get it started there.
Yeah. And so really what I have attributed to the success of my putting this year, I stopped doing practice putts or practice strokes. So that what came out of the WellPutt for me.
Really?
I don't even stroke it. I look at the speed that I think it's going to be, and I just execute. I'm going a lot on feel. But I know that I'm squaring the putter up a lot better than I was before. So I feel so much better about my putting.
Wow. All right.
I don't think you guys knew that. I stopped doing practice strokes.
Well, I've only golfed with you
once, twice.
Yeah.
Well, I was just trying to remember back to some of the rounds we played together. Mm-hmm. And I agree, because I typically do not do practice strokes.
Right.
But if I'm behind the ball looking at the putt, I might like kind of swing my arms.
You do, yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to like get the feel.
I've stopped that at all.
But I didn't realize that.
Yep. I don't do practice strokes anymore. Practice putting strokes.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let me jump in real quick. I found an article that this guy wrote about this, and he says the amplitude is the distance of your putting stroke back and through.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
it's to the measure of the stroke back to the forward stroke. There's got to be a tempo component in
Are
there
we
too.
Like, what is the proper amplitude on a stroke?
I'm not sure.
Out of me.
Yeah.
Whatever gets the ball to the
I was
cup.
gonna say,
You got some homework, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
You got to research this and figure it out for us.
We'll have a second review.
You just want to make for sure that you're not decelerating.
That's true.
I think it's probably the main goal.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, kind of my first initial impression of the mat was there is a lot going on in the mat.
Yeah. It's busy. It's busy.
It's very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start playing it and doing it, I think you kind of mentioned it without saying it, that it brings in is there's a ton of stuff you can do with this mat, where a lot of other mats, if you're hitting to a hole, you're simply hitting the hole. Now you can move up and closer and back, but
Right.
this gives you areas to measure where you want. Like, hey, I really sucked at 6 to 10 feet.
Yeah. And I would recommend, like, there's a 10-foot version you brought up. There's a 10-foot and a 13-foot version. I would go for the 13-foot version.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have room for it. And the reason I say that is I like my putt out. There's nothing wrong with my putt out setup, but it's short.
Yeah.
I think it's only 8 feet.
It
or
is
6. Or
it's the mat itself is 8 feet long, and the putting
Yeah.
surface, when you have everything set up, is like 6.
Yeah.
yeah. So
But the science behind that is that's where you're going to make the most money, is on those shorter putts.
Sure.
100%. But I also
Right.
think it's great to figure out just distance control too, and that's kind of hard to do that with. I mean, with the putt out, and I guess there is the timing component of it that it's going to go up that ramp and it falls in the hole. You hit it at the perfect speed, right? Well, that to me, that was hard to do a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was more frustrating to have it stop in there. And with the WellPutt, what I appreciated was that I could go quickly. Like if I just needed to do like 10 putts or 12 putts or something like that, I didn't feel like defeated that, gosh, none of them stopped in that little
Right.
freaking hole.
Yeah.
Well, and the other feedback that it gives you that the putt out did not is you see how far past the hole you're going. I think, John, your first time you rolled it, I think you hit the hole, but you rolled it off the mat.
I hit
into
the.
other
I
back end
then
of the mat.
subsequently hit the GoPro.
The damage
Right.
we had to buy a new GoPro. It was a damaged GoPro.
It was moving.
And that tells you a lot if you're seriously sitting down to figure out how you can improve your putting,
Yeah.
knowing how far you're going past it. Like, oh, okay, I need to back off. And
I mean, and
work through that.
everyone's different. Like, I think that even collectively in this group, I think Dave is thinking, because Dave's a big proponent of the boomerang, of you enjoy the fact of like it's a game and all those things. And I'm not saying that I don't, but I found this to meet the needs of how I wanted to practice better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that this is when I first started, I'm like, I like the sound of the ball falling in a cup.
right.
But to your point, is that the other nice thing with this is that you can go to one end, hit all your practice putts, turn around and go the other way.
Yeah.
Like you can do a lot of practice in a short amount of time. Also, the 2 speeds. I'm pretty sure it's slower going away from the target end.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It could be uphill.
I wasn't.
Maybe the building
that,
isn't
that was the
level.
one
Yeah.
thing I couldn't figure out. I felt like it was.
John is a field golfer in every aspect other than his putting.
Yeah. Pretty
won't-
sure going that way is slower, but the WellPutt folks
to
might
the
be like,
to the speed zones. So it's
Yeah.
labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
I think is how far it goes out, and those are all the different speed zones.
There's numbers all the way to 16. I think.
16
Yeah.
or 12.
13.
I think it's 12.
I
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's in the teens.
Yeah, the people we're talking about this, they're seeing it on the screen right now
Yeah.
to know how many. They're all going, "What are these guys talking about?" But they get smaller. So the first zone's really big. Of the speed zones, like 1, and then 2 is a little bit smaller, 3 is a little bit smaller, and so you're having to hone in and stop that ball in that certain area.
Yeah.
So
I think the cool thing with like the 54 holes they've made
Mm-hmm.
is I could see myself every day telling myself I'm going to play 18 blue,
yeah,
keep my score, and then play black and orange, and then see if I can reduce that score.
gives you a
As I
little
go
bit of
through
and it gives you a little bit of a measurement of like, are you getting better or
Yep.
not?
Yeah.
I think you want to increase your score.
Or
Yes.
increase my score.
Yes,
yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
The more points,
Whichever
the better.
one,
Stapleford.
whichever beneficial
Yeah.
direction, up or down.
So
So
hold
yeah,
up the manual so
yeah.
people can see.
And it's heavy.
The
It
thickness
is.
of it.
It's a thick book.
it is. But that would definitely be something that I would do with this.
2
Because
C's.
the beauty of working from home is that you can be on a conference call with your headset on and practice
Yeah.
your putting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is something I would totally do.
You gotta have a 13-foot room
Yeah.
though.
It should also be noted there is an app you can use
Yeah.
as well. So
Which
you-
I
you
didn't
don't
use
have
the
to
app.
just-
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
just
didn't.
have to use the book.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot in here.
But that's what I would do is I'd keep score on each one and then
Yeah.
do that all through the winter and then hopefully be somewhat of a decent putter when I come back in the spring.
You can say to your friends and stuff, what'd you do this morning? I played 18 holes.
Exactly.
They're like,
Yeah.
what? It was 10 degrees outside.
In an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drawbacks, I still like to hear a ball fall in the cup. So I don't know if there's a
Yeah.
way to
Maybe you could pipe that sound in.
Yeah.
You could put a sensor
Like
in it. and-
Pavlov's dog.
like there's
don't
still
even know.
kind
Have
of
a button.
it still
on your-
feels weird to just
Ding.
watch it stop. Like, okay, it was a good putt, but
Yeah.
it didn't go in a cup. But
Right.
that's just me.
Yeah, and I think
It doesn't necessarily draw away from the mat. That's
right.
just me.
And I think for me, like what you brought up is you can go down and putt from the other end. That felt like more being out on a putting, a
Yeah.
true, out on a real green, out on a
Turning.
golf course. Is like you were. I felt like with some of the other ones, it's like if it's coming back to you, the perfect practice putting, mat thing. Is it a mat? Perfect practice putt, the Dustin Johnson one.
Yeah.
Like that comes back to you. I think it's great, but then you just like lock in and you never move. And so I liked the like
you're
component of walking and stuff like that.
Now here's the one kicker with this that I think is a good thing, but I think would be bad for some golfers, was that I finished second in our putting competition and I'm by far the worst putter. But the truth of it is if you line the putter up with the lines on the mat, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Where you don't have that on the course.
And I think go ahead.
That's something.
That's muscle memory a little bit there.
It is, and I think it's a good thing. In the end, I think it's a good thing.
And they recommend, so they said put a coin. So there's the holes are designated in areas, and you're supposed to put a coin down to truly say we hit that or not. And so that's kind of interesting, but that doesn't
because even when you're back in the ranges and you're putting back toward the target, there's little dotted lines that give you the line, which is great. Like you should be able to sit your putter down and go, that's the line.
That's square.
Put that in my brain. But just when you get to the putting green, there's not that.
There's no
there.
lines.
So
and
something to
kind of the whole point of that though is if you're consistently lining yourself up on those lines, you'll know when you get on an actual green.
You should be.
You'll look down at your putter and go,
doing
"Oh,
it.
that don't look right," or "It looks great."
Yeah.
I think in the end it's a good thing, but I just think that's
you guys don't draw lines on the greens when you're playing.
No, I leave my.
I bring my chalk
I bring
lines.
chalk,
Just snap.
My boss loves
Probably
it.
should.
I think the one thing, and that is kind of a drawback in that same vein, is when there's three dots where you start from, center straight, or then you're putting right and then left, right? So we get to the outside one, and I look down, and I can line my putter up, but then I see my feet are like even with the outside of the mat, which is a different line, and it throws me off. Like,
but did you know that you set up open to the ball?
Right. I don't think it matters. In my opinion, it doesn't matter that
As
you
long
had
as your
that.
putter is online.
You just need to not let it
body's
psychologically psych you out.
but it was weird. I like.
Yeah.
But now you know, though.
I mean, honestly, that's just it. It showed you something about your stance that. Luckily, you're like me; you'll forget it in a week. But
it's more important, in my opinion, is more important when you're putting is to have a better stroke or repeatable stroke than being perfectly aligned. And so I think to me, it's like, I think if you took that home and had it for 5-6 months and putted with it, you would get to the point where you're like not even noticing it because you're making the putts. So,
It's true.
The point, you got to get your ball started on the right line.
Yeah.
You can't start it on the right line. And there's various things, and TJ will probably yell at me for saying stuff like this, but if you set up
TEE,
if you set up to the ball with an open putter face, but you shut the face at impact, as long as the ball is going on the line it needs to go on.
Well, look at Fred Couples, it's just his stroke. I mean, he's open tremendously, but it's probably part body.
Yeah.
If you can't repeat a swing one way, but you can the other way, and you hit it better the other way, do that
the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But conversely, if it's a timing thing and you either overly shut that face or you don't get it shut, then you're screwed, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you use those alignment aids to at least get your putter lined up so you're on the right line, it doesn't matter how your body's lined up as long as that putter head's going through square.
Yeah, I mean, that first one we did, it was just a straight yank left, but it's because I started back off the line. I'm like, I got to get back on that line.
What am I doing?
And here I am, pulling it shut.
So in the end, I think those alignment lines are good. But it will
They
shine a
definitely don't
light.
hurt.
It'll shine a light on some things with your putting for sure.
But it still is back to Pete's point of like, there's a lot going on. When you open that thing up, you roll it out and you look at it, you're like,
Good
what
Lord.
in the heck am I looking at right now?
It's
But-
busy.
But I will say everything on it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the uphill, downhill portions, like where you should be with those putts, like that all makes total sense.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
no malarkey.
Yeah, and going back in the busyness, once like you figure out what is going on, you're like, I just didn't see much of the other things. I started focusing in on, we're going to zone 5. I want to roll it there.
Yeah.
And nothing else on the map.
Exactly. That's there to help, but it doesn't mean that you have to check it out each time. What was the price on it? I don't remember.
The 10-foot was $150.
Okay.
It didn't have a price for the 13-foot.
Okay, so probably 200.
I'd say around 200.
Yeah, something like that. But do you guys think? I guess Dave, did you give your opinion of it?
I overall it's a good mat. I think a problem I would have with it is because you would need to use it from two ends. You really do have to kind of put it out in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
As opposed to like, so I've got 3 putting mats at home.
You need 4.
Yeah. And I can squish them up against the baseboard and keep them kind of out of the way.
Right.
And it doesn't really affect anything. And I think this would be a little bit more in the middle of everything, which, you know, could be good, could be bad, depends on how much your wife loves you, or if you're single and live
All
home
the more
alone,
reason to build a golf room.
right?
Oh,
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly in the marketing, that's what everyone has that has one of these.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
They have a
exactly. Or
dedicated
doesn't have.
room.
I'm
Doesn't.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't, it needs it.
This is
The
the
$9 million.
It's like the
Miami house.
gateway.
Yeah.
They're going to get this, and then they're like, you know what? I'm just going to have a whole room, which they do offer.
They
that,
do offer
yeah,
that. WellPutt offers.
yeah.
They'll come out and build you a custom putting mat with all
Yeah.
these things to your size and specifications.
Which
So,
pretty
I don't
amazing.
know of anything that would be better for my basement WellPutt than to offer up that for us to
Oh,
test. So
okay, interesting.
we will give you an opportunity to install
Yeah.
it in my house.
We could
Yeah.
review that when
Yeah.
it's done. Yeah.
Exactly.
and then they need a riser kit for your drums over there too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
I want something that drops them down from the ceiling.
Yes.
Like
Can
a
it do a
like
flip
a Wayne
Tommy-
Motley Crue
Tommy Lee?
concert.
When you make a putt.
Exactly.
It's got to spin around. Too.
Or if you hit the GoPro, you can just go over and do a rim shot.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, what?
A rim shot.
Oh, okay.
Da-da.
No, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking about, Billy.
Jeez, Billy. No,
Settle
but
down.
overall, I think it's a good product. I think, like you guys have all said, once you get past the busyness of it,
Yeah.
and I think kind of that also helps you on the green because it narrows your focus on,
Yep.
on
Yeah.
what you need to be looking at, which is either the point of the break on your line or the cup itself.
Right.
So I like that the 13 foot does give you a lot of options for putts. I think the perfect practice one that I have is 9.5 feet. The putt out that we talked about is about a 6 foot putt, and
Yep.
the boomerang I think stretches out to 12. If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. So having the extra length always helps,
Yeah.
but it's not very girthy.
Yeah. Hey.
One of the downfalls, and it's something that I always bring up on these things, is it probably does require a little bit of ironing right out of the box.
Yeah. Yeah. it
let it
rolled out
settle.
pretty flat, but
Yeah.
but you got to the end.
Yeah.
And it curls back.
It curls.
Yeah, a minor amount of ironing.
Yeah.
or at least a book on it.
Do you think it would settle down after a while?
I think it
Probably,
would, but the challenge, so not to cut you off there, Dave, but the challenge for me was I didn't keep it out all the time. So I had to, it rolls up, and that one end is much tighter than the other one, obviously.
You should roll it from the opposite end.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say.
did every now and then, but it still would be an issue.
Roll
about,
it,
like,
roll it the other way?
That's what I did, but it still would, then that end would curl up on the next time I'd use it.
He's
Because
saying
No,
roll
I'm saying roll it
under.
Oh,
The
outside.
yeah.
I didn't want to
And then
get.
it
I
would all
felt it
just-
would get dirty. Is the only thing. So I just kept rolling it the same
More
way.
dirty?
Yeah, more dirty. Yeah, yeah. For all the listeners, there's cat hair and dog hair on it. You know what? So we lived. It's been used. That's how I'm saying it. And you'll
It's
tell.
lived its
but-
life.
Yes,
Loved.
exactly. It's not like we just didn't do anything.
Maybe
So-
you should hang this in like
move
the closet.
your coffee mug there, Chief. There you go. Thanks. Totally blocking Dave.
That's okay.
sorry,
Nobody needs to see my face all
Don't
the
rob
time.
the world of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, please do
I
rob the
can't
world
wait
of
to
that.
that moment.
Yeah, this is the talking coffee cup.
Yeah, exactly.
I think overall though it's a good product.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to make a bad one of these, but this one it does give you a lot of options, and I think to me I'd probably get worn out trying to figure out what all the 18 holes are for 3 different courses, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like John. I need to have, it doesn't necessarily need to be audible, because, you know, I spent a whole video trying to make the perfect practice quieter.
In fairness, though, it was really loud.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
loud. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
But I do at least like to have a visual of something happening other
Yeah.
than just kind of rolling over a spot.
No,
So-
there's just something about that. I don't know why.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do, because I'm lazy, I will admit it, I do like having the ball come back to me.
I knew you were
So
gonna say that.
and whether it's very far or not very far at all, you know, with the putt out, you do still have to go get your ball if you're all the way back.
Right.
The perfect practice comes right to you, so it is just hammering balls over and over again.
Yeah.
But when I do my putting practice, I'm just trying to get a feel for my stroke, make sure the ball is starting on the line it's supposed to start on, and then I just let the rest figure itself out.
Yeah.
So this is probably a little bit more than what I personally would need, but I would recommend it to anybody that's really wanting to improve their pace, their accuracy, any of that stuff, because it has everything to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
agree.
everyone's a thumbs up on it then?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this would be the first one I'd buy.
Oh, man, that's
Yeah.
going. That's,
bold statement.
wow. Man,
Yeah,
you
just
never
because
buy
of-
anything.
Well, I mean,
unless it's a super flea.
exactly. But I would say like the 18-hole thing would be kind of fun because I
Yeah.
would do that over and over again and try to improve my scorch time.
Interesting. So this would finally replace your carpet at your home?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Carpet roll's great.
It stems at about a 3.
Yeah. If I vacuum it, it's winter greens. If I just leave it matted down, it's summer greens. Yeah.
It depends on if you're in the middle of the hallway
Yeah.
or the side
It
of the
does break a
hallway.
little, right?
Yeah.
It settles in the middle. But yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Good.
Yeah,
I think we're
that's
good.
great.
What a great review.
Everybody go buy it.
Yeah,
we
just
go.
go buy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You won't regret
Christmas right around the corner.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
literally.
Bye-bye.
Bye.